Hines.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I want to thank our honourable friend for the Isle of Wight for all the work he's done on this, and also the Backbench Business Committee for granting time on this important matter. But look, with dozens of colleagues still wanting to speak, I'm just going to make three short points, if I may. The first, and our right honourable friend for South West Surrey made this point, it is recognised, people accept now that we need more homes. For affordability, we do need to increase the number of homes. That includes in constituencies like mine in East Hampshire. But we need to look not only at the aggregate number, we need to look at the mix. And for people on low incomes, focusing on the median price may be largely irrelevant. The second point is that with any algorithm, or as we used to call them back in the olden days, formula, with any such exercise, yes, of course it's right to look at the input elements and to consult on whether they are the right ones. But it's also right to look at what happens when you run the numbers, what the output is. And if the outcome of that formula exercise is to entrench historic patterns of population growth and contraction, in tension with the government's correct emphasis on levelling up, and in some ways in direct contradiction to that emphasis, then you need to look once again afresh at the formula.
Will my neighbour give way?
I will give way very briefly to my honourable friend and then my honourable friend.
Just very briefly then, isn't the other problem with formula algorithm, or whatever you call it, that it seems to have a tin ear to constituencies like his and mine, where vast parts of that constituency or the district that you cover are covered by national parks, and the algorithm doesn't seem to consider that.
Indeed, my honourable friend is bang on right, which is my third point, which I'll come to in 1 second. My honourable friend.
Thank you very much. My honourable friend and I share a local planning authority, both of which have been meeting the 5-year supply requirements already, and the algorithms mean they go up by 50% in my right honourable friend's constituency and my constituency. Does my honourable friend think it's acceptable?
I think my honourable friend makes a very good point. I know they get very upset about the clock, and I apologise, but don't worry, because I'm going to come in at well under 4 minutes anyway, with my third and final point, which is exactly about national parks and the particular circumstances where you have a local authority like ours, in fact, that I share with my honourable friend from Meon Valley, which is bisected by a national park. And if you have a housing assessment need made on the basis of the local authority area, but then it has to be heavily disproportionately implemented in the area outside the national park, that causes two sets of problems. First, inside the park, over time in areas like Petersfield and Liss, housing will become more and more unaffordable, but also just outside the national park, on the edge, in places like Alton and Four Marks, there will be a great deal of pressure, and it will be very difficult to keep up in terms of service provision. So if you're going to have two different parts of an area with very different constraints, and the housing assessment needs to be made separately for each one. The Minister is a good minister and a good man. I take it very much at face value that this is a consultation. I encourage him and the Government to think again about some of these important matters.